What happens when the realms of brands and entertainment intertwine? We've seen Netflix take their viewers on a gastronomic journey inspired by their favorite shows. We've witnessed Marriott and Hilton enter the gaming universe, creating immersive experiences for gamers. These are not mere marketing strategies, but innovative brand collaborations that push the boundaries of traditional advertising and entertainment. In these instances, brands don't merely exist in the periphery. They infiltrate the narrative, becoming an integral part of the entertainment experience. Whether it's eating a meal inspired by a Netflix series, exploring a Marriott-themed space in Fortnite, or checking into a virtual Hilton hotel in Roadblocks, these collaborations offer a unique and engaging way for brands to interact with their audience. These case studies serve as a testament to the power of innovative brand collaborations. They illustrate that by venturing into the entertainment world, brands have the potential to redefine their relationship with consumers, creating experiences that are both memorable and meaningful. In summary, the intersection of brands and entertainment offers a wealth of opportunities for marketers. By thinking outside the box and embracing the power of collaboration, brands can create immersive, engaging experiences that captivate audiences and leave a lasting impact. As we've seen with Netflix, Marriott, and Hilton, the possibilities are truly endless. So the next time you're enjoying your favorite show or game, don't be surprised if you encounter a brand in a way you never expected.
Amazing. Well, that sets the scene for what is going to be a sensational discussion led by Georgie Woollams with Jasniya, Badsha, and Ollie Thomas. So please welcome the panel to the stage.
Thank you, Jen. Jasniya, if you'd like to join us. Sorry, a bit loud. And Ollie Thomas. Okay, so Jasniya is from RiyadhConnect. She has over 30 million as a reach. So I'm going to start with you, Jasniya. Let's look at content. So what content is actually working at the moment in the region? Yeah, it's working. Yeah, it's working. Just put it, if you put it in.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're on. Yeah. So what's working in the region? May I respond to that by telling you a small story? So once upon a time, there was this girl who was born and brought up in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. She went to school there, lived there all her life, and when it was time for college, she went back home to her home country and did her computer science engineering degree and came back to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia after marriage, but couldn't find a job in her sector. This was like more than a decade back. So herself and a few kids from her school, they decided to create an opportunity because she couldn't find an opportunity. So thus was created a Facebook platform with current events and hospitality and stories of Riyadh. So, and then in the story comes a part where she met a princess. Not a prince, but a princess. So what happened is, we got an invite to Riyadh Fashion Days, and back then, it was one of the first events. We didn't have fashion days and all back then, women-only event. And a princess came to the event, and so she asked the princess for an interview, and she said yes. So I'm talking about myself and the beginning of RiyadhConnect. The princess was Princess Rima Mandar Al Saud. She asked her for an interview. She said yes. She is now the present Saudi ambassador to the USA. And she said yes to the interview. We went from 5,000 followers to 1 million on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So an influential person like her just gave us a little heads up, and there we were step by step. So that was, my experience of Saudi hospitality.
And content. Okay, and Ollie, so Ollie, founder of Hatchin. Katch has been working with Ollie for a very, very long time. And Ollie's background is digital experience. So where is content going next? We're hearing, obviously, we've heard influencers, we've heard about Facebook, we've heard about TikTok, Instagram, but where's it going next? So we just watched a video as well that's built in AI. So can you give us some insight?
Yeah, well, I think Jasniya's example there is really good because there's two macro trends that I would point to. One being the power of storytelling and narratives, and the fact that brands have to lean into those narratives more. And I think, individuals are powerful narratives, right? So the princess is a narrative in her own right, and that brings credibility, it brings a story, but it has to be authentic. And that's the other thing. I'm sure she was quite authentic in giving that interview, and I'm sure it felt quite compelling to people. It can't just be a basic advert, So another very obvious example is Cristiano Ronaldo. So if Cristiano Ronaldo was just wearing a football shirt in a one-off advert, it wouldn't mean much. Cristiano Ronaldo moving him and his family to Saudi Arabia to play in the Saudi Arabian League means that my son now is really excited that I'm coming to Saudi Arabia because he knows about it. He follows Cristiano Ronaldo. There is a narrative to that whole journey. So I think the storytelling aspect is really important. And I think that's where those immersive experiences like Roblox become quite interesting because the kids in particular can build their own stories with a brand. They can go and stay at the Hilton Hotel within Roblox. They can go and experience what the room looks like. They can dress up the room. They can go to events. So people want to experience the stories for themselves. And I think alongside that is then the interactive elements. So then at a very basic level, not everyone can afford Cristiano Ronaldo, but using influencers, using individuals, and then the integration of commerce. So if you look at YouTube, if you look at TikTok, if you look at Spotify now, all of those platforms enable you to click through and buy products that are being mentioned. So recommended products, affiliate products. And so I think where we're going is the story linked to the individual, linked to the product, all in one place is where content is being built, and it has to be done in quite an authentic way.
And Jasniya, what do you think about authentic content? Give us an example of what you've seen in the last, 3-4 months. We were talking about something earlier.
Okay, so we were approached by Netflix. Do you know the first Saudi-made Netflix series? It's called Bayt al-Tahir. Bayt is house in Arabic. So Bayt al-Tahir means the house of Tahir. So it's about a family of entrepreneurs who have to come together to save their failing fish business. It's a comedy series. So they were putting it out on Netflix, so they called us to help promote the series. So Turki Al-Sheikh, I'm sure you know, he's entertainment minister. So he said in the region, Middle East region, Saudis are the #1 consumers of entertainment, Netflix. So we need more Saudi content out there. Yeah, so we might see more of that. And interactive content has also really worked, as in we've had live campaigns where we have showcased products and they were asked to, the viewers, the audience, they were asked to tell us the prices, and the first one who got the price right, they would be gifted the product. We had a little bit of issues there, as in people were on live stream, I said it first, I said the price first, where's my price? And so there was a little bit of confusion like that. But interactive content is doing really well.
So obviously going into TV, suddenly popping up a restaurant in LA, Netflix, where's it going to go next? We're going to have more of that. We're going to have more TV shows based around restaurants, or actually TV shows influencing where restaurants go?
I think you're going to have more TV shows based around restaurants for sure. I think that, I mean, in essence, it's just like product placement from the old days, right? It's just literally putting something in a TV show, but it's now being done in a much more seamless and immersive way. I mean, even if you think about the Four Seasons hotels in White Lotus, right? Their bookings went up through the roof because people had seen them in the White Lotus seasons and they wanted to go and stay here. Why? They wanted to go and stay in Italy. But again, that's really no more than product placement in the same way that you can put a bottle of water in an interview with a famous person. I think you're right. If you build a Netflix show around a restaurant, you would be looking behind the scenes. Again, you would be building the stories around the chef and the people who work there, and that's obviously the power of reality TV in terms of promoting individuals and stories and brands. And I think we're just going to see more and more interactivity. To your point, people want to engage with what they see in their content. So we were talking earlier about a very UK example, but there's a person called Jeremy Clarkson who's a well-known individual in the UK. He used to do Top Gear. He's now running a farm. That was picked up by Amazon. They've done some documentary series on it, and Amazon have now released some of the products that he produces on the farm through the Amazon Fresh store. So you can now go and buy the honey that Jeremy Clarkson makes on his farm that you watched in the series. So again, it's this kind of ability to engage with content beyond the content itself and to get quite immersed in that. And I think for hotels and for restaurants and bars, it's how you can link that online experience with the offline experience. So are you giving things that people can redeem when they turn up at the venue? Are you giving them a way to see behind the scenes and then potentially meet people at a live event? It's kind of merging the two, the online and the offline together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, obviously, we showed a video before we got going, and one of the things that's really it's clever, it's scary, is AI. And obviously, it's going to be a subject we're talking about for the next 3 days. How is it helping us? Like, is it giving us a better audience? Is it saving us time? Where do you see, Ollie, from a digital point of view, AI going? And then, Jasniya, I'll pass it back to you on the same question.
You saw with that video. I think from a digital point of view, from a video and a media point of view, I think there's a lot of cost efficiencies. So I think obviously you can produce, especially when you're using a lot of stock imagery and stock footage, you can produce content in a much more cost-efficient way. I always come back to the difference between science and art. So I think it will very much be involved in the technical aspects of it. But just because it scans the makeup of every single Oscar-winning film, can AI ever make an Oscar-winning film on its own? I don't think it probably could. If I followed Ridley Scott and read everything that Ridley Scott had ever done, would I be able to produce and direct like Ridley Scott? Probably not. So I think there's definitely an art in this and there's a science, and I think AI will help on the technical science side of things, but I think there will always be a need to have human involvement from the art side of it.
One thing I'd add on, what's been amazing is how AI is taking data and then able to do a dedicated campaign just towards that audience. And one of the things that's come across today in the conversations, but obviously in all the trend reports, is it's all about that personal aspect. So AI, it sounds irony, like, can it be personal? But actually, it's really able to hone in on who that audience is and what that audience wants. And Jasniya, obviously, like from an influential point of view, that's what influencers did. You had a dedicated influencer for a luxury market or for a high-end restaurant launch. So how are the influencers now going to adapt to AI?
You just said, about that aspect of AI, but, AI, they've been able to pass exams from Stanford, from Harvard, MBA exams. They're out there and they're doing it. And in terms of hospitality and, F&B, from cocktail making to burger flipping, companies are discovering how efficient it can be. I once went to an automobile showcasing event recently, and so the the robot there, it was serving dates, came to me, asked my name. I said Jasniya, and it said, "Oh, you're the prettiest woman in the room." And I was like, what? That was definitely not a heartfelt compliment. It's a robot. But man, it made me feel good. I mean, so yeah, so that is the power of AI, and a lot is going to happen in that area. I believe UAE has its first AI influencer. She's called Maya Seen, living every moment, day by day. That's her, Instagram bio. And she's out there looking like any of us, much prettier. And a lot is happening in this field. They're like synthetic interactions. You could have a conversation with Kim Kardashian, and it's already happening. So a lot is happening in that area. Brace for a revolution in AI.
I do think, obviously, from an influencer perspective. So we've done a restaurant launch in Riyadh. We've had some amazing influencers coming and seen some great results from it. And I think from an AI perspective, yes, we can then take the content that you have created at that event and then point that content back out at a larger audience. But I do think you need best of both worlds. I think you need AI, and I think you need the real content piece too. We've only got a few more minutes left, but I wanted to talk about the gaming industry, because we are seeing, Marriott's now on Fortnite, BBC's now gone on to Roblox, obviously Hilton has done it, and the results are unbelievable. So Ollie, give us a little bit of an overview on that.
Yeah, and I think it's, I don't know how familiar people are with platforms like Roblox and Fortnite. It takes a bit of kind of getting used to. It's a different interface from the way that most of us would have grown up. It's a different interface from something like Netflix and that kind of traditional library of square images that you click on. You effectively have an avatar that you can move between games or experiences. So you can come out of the BBC one and you can go into the Hilton one. And when you're in there, your avatar is walking around, and it can choose to click on a door which will take it into a game. It can choose to click on a door which will take it into a cinema experience where you can watch something. And the reason a lot of the kids are enjoying it is because it's effectively like social media. So a lot of the people on there, 50% of people on Roblox are under 13. If you're under 13, you can't be on social media. But when they're in Roblox, they're chatting to their friends. They'll sit down and watch a video on a screen with their avatar and chat to their friends that are with them. So it's becoming like the kind of a new form of social media, a new way of engaging. It's a form of expression because people can dress their avatars how they want. They can look different to how they look in real life, wear different clothes. And I think that's where it becomes really exciting for brands, because it's much more seamless. So formerly, if you advertise in a mobile game, it's quite an intrusive advert often. So, an advert will pop up in the middle and say, watch this whole advert to continue playing the game, or watch this whole advert or pay £3 and you can continue playing the game. In something like Roblox or Fortnite, you can have what's called intrinsic advertising, which is where your brand or your advert appears simply on a billboard that they walk past. And you can do that, obviously, you can hammer those billboards all over the place, but they'll be seeing that brand. It won't interrupt the way they play. It won't interrupt their engagement with their friends. And so it becomes a much more seamless way of showcasing your brand over and over again to that audience.
And just give the audience some numbers, just an idea of how many people, Generation Alpha, are on Roblox at the moment.
So there's about 230 million monthly users, and there's about 70 million on a daily basis. But I think the really interesting thing is, if you look at engagement levels, if we take the kind of under 18 audience, and you look at engagement levels on TikTok and YouTube, the average session time or the average daily time on YouTube and TikTok is around an hour and a half, somewhere between 80 and 90 minutes, right, a day. But if you look at those on Roblox, they're spending 2.5 hours on Roblox. So the engagement time is really high. Like, rightly or wrongly, right? My son is on it and I try and kick him off the whole time. But they're really engaged with it. And they're on there for long, long sessions, and they're walking around, they're chatting to their friends, and they're going into a game, and they're coming out, and they're playing something else. And so it becomes a much longer session time and a much longer form of engagement.
So obviously, we've chatted about a lot. In summary, there's obviously going to be more platforms, more gaming, more AI. So Jasniya, if you had to make a prediction in the next 5 years, what would you predict?
I don't know. I think in this day and age, it's all about storytelling. Everyone wants to tell a persuasive story. It's how well you tell your story that makes you stop, scroll, stop. What makes you stop? It's how well you tell your story. So, influencers, all the hotels, the brands, how well you portray your story is what's going to make difference, because it's at the end of the day, it's about how you make people feel.
And Ollie, what's your prediction?
I think you're going to see a lot more joint ventures with individuals. So I think brands recognise that on their own they can't have that same appeal and that same story as they can if they engage individuals, which is why you're seeing Ronaldo, Messi, and people, particularly Messi in the US, getting equity in his ventures. You're seeing a lot of influencers launching products. So I think you'll see a lot of JVs being launched between existing big brands and leveraging the power of individuals and influencers.
Yeah, so from my side, I think AI is going to help us as service providers. So, from my side as communication, you can hire someone who's more creative, who might not be as good wordsmith as the rest, but is actually just as talented when coming up with creativity. And through AI, that will help them speak better words. So I think we'll see better quality coming out of the industry. I think on the gaming level, I think it's here to stay. Like we just talked about, I know Roblox from my child throwing themselves on the floor because I've got to, take the screen back. But I think from what is happening marketing level, it's amazing. Netflix on the TV side through pop-up restaurants, to do a pop-up restaurant in LA is absolutely amazing. And I think we should see more of it will come through the market. And just one thing we haven't touched on today, and obviously we had someone very, very important from podcasts. Where do you think podcasts are at the moment in the industry?
I think, well, I can't really do it justice in 45 seconds, but essentially I think
No, you can.
much longer form of narrative. So again, if you want to tell your story, the average listening time on a podcast episode is around 20 minutes. To a YouTube video, it's around 2 minutes. So you have much longer time with that person to tell the story. But again, it has to be authentic. You can't just have, I don't mean to disrespect the brand, but you can't just have the Hilton podcast and hope that people are going to listen to it. It has to be very much tied to an individual, a story that's relevant and that's entertaining. It's got to be entertaining. So a lot of brands forget that. People only engage with content because it's fun and it's interesting and it's entertaining. It can't just be a branded advert.
Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for the conversation today.
Thank you.
Any questions?